Imagine Italy years ago. Busy squares full of families, kids playing games in the streets, and grandmas calling everyone home for dinner. Back then, having a big family was normal and important. But now, things have changed a lot. The squares are quiet, and many homes are empty. Why is this happening? Well, many things are going wrong in Italy. Factors like a stagnant economy, high youth unemployment, and political instability have turned Italy into a place where young couples are hesitant to bring new life into the world. The implications, however, are far-reaching, affecting everything from the labor market to social security and even the country's rich cultural heritage. But how did Italy get here? To understand the present, we must delve into the past. Italy's journey from a poor agrarian society to an industrial powerhouse and then to its current state of economic stagnation is a tale that holds lessons for us all. This is why nobody wants to have children in one of the largest economies in Europe. Italy, the land of arts, culture, and mouth-watering cuisine, has a rich history that's as complex as its famous pasta dishes. But let's not get lost in the sauce. We're here to talk about something far less appetizing: Italy's economic stagnation and its plummeting birth rates. Once upon a time, Italy was a poor agrarian society. Picture farmers tilling the land, small family-owned shops, and a large economy that thrived on craftsmanship and agriculture. But then came the Industrial Revolution, and Italy was quick to jump on the bandwagon. The country transformed into an industrial powerhouse, boasting some of the world's most famous brands in fashion, cars, and banking. Italy was the epitome of la dolce vita, the sweet life. But this isn't a fairy tale with a happy ending. Fast forward to the mid-1990s, and the Italian economy hit a wall. Imagine running a marathon and suddenly feeling like you're trudging through quicksand. That was Italy at this time. The economy stopped growing, and no one could figure out why. It was like a mystery novel with missing pages. But then, a leading Italian economist cracked the code. He argued that Italian businesses were stuck in a time warp, rewarding loyalty and connections over performance. Nepotism over meritocracy. Sounds like a recipe for disaster, right? Well, it was. Add a dash of unstable governments, a sprinkle of a chaotic legal system, and a heap of massive public debts, and you've got yourself an economic disaster casserole. But wait, Italy's economy isn't just stagnant, it's also dealing with a youth unemployment rate that's through the roof. Imagine being a young Italian fresh out of college and not finding a job. Not for weeks, not for months, but for years. It's like waiting for a train that never comes. This has led to what's known as the €1,000 generation. Young, educated Italians stuck in low-paying jobs, making less than €1,000 a month. It's like having a Ferrari but not being able to afford the gas. Now let's connect the dots. What happens when young people can't find jobs, and those who do are underpaid? Drum roll, please. They don't have babies. In 2022, Italy, the world's 8th largest economy, recorded a shockingly low number of births, just 393,000, the lowest since records began in 1861. And it's not just a one-time dip, it's a consistent decline. The fertility rate at the time of writing this video is around 1.2 children per woman, one of the lowest in the world. The situation this has led to? Well, to put it bluntly, the replacement rate is in the negative. Yes, negative, with 12 deaths for every 7 births. Remember the €1,000 generation we talked about earlier? Well, they're not just struggling to make ends meet, they're also struggling to start families. When you're living paycheck to paycheck, the idea of having a child becomes as appealing as a flat tire on a road trip. And it's not just about money, it's about stability. Young Italians are finding it hard to land stable jobs, and those who do are often stuck in temporary positions. And let's not forget the €1 houses. Yes, those charming, dilapidated homes that are up for grabs for the price of an espresso. They sound like a fairy tale, don't they? But let's pull back the curtain on this seemingly magical offer. The €1 home initiative, known as Case €1, was launched in 2017 to combat the effects of depopulation in rural areas and to give new life to derelict buildings. The idea has attracted buyers from around the globe, but the reality is a bit more complicated than the headlines suggest. You see, these homes are often in a state of disrepair that goes beyond a simple fixer-upper. We're talking about properties that sometimes lack basic amenities like running water or electricity. Some are a little more than 4 crumbling walls and a worn roof. So while you might secure the deed for €1, the renovation costs can skyrocket, often requiring an investment of 20 to 30,000 euros or more. It's like buying a car for $1, but then discovering it doesn't have an engine, wheels, or seats. You'll need to invest a lot more than $1 to get it roadworthy. Take the story of Meredith Tabone, for instance. She bought a 2-story townhouse in Sambuca, a picturesque medieval hill town in western Sicily. The house has no windows, no running water, and no electricity. It was a structure originally built in the 1600s that had seen better days. Meredith set a renovation budget of 35,000 euros, and even that wasn't enough. She ended up buying the adjoining house and going significantly over her initial budget. But for her, the investment was worth it. She plans to spend 1 month out of every 3 in her Sicilian dream home. So while the €1 house initiative might seem like a golden ticket to home ownership, it's crucial to read the fine print. These homes are not just real estate opportunities, they're projects that require time, money, and a lot of patience. And let's not forget these initiatives were born out of desperation. Towns are practically giving these homes away because they're grappling with dwindling populations and the economic stagnation that comes with it. The €1 homes are a band-aid solution to a much deeper wound. So what does all this mean for Italy's future? Will it find a way to reverse this demographic decline? What happens next is anyone's guess. But one thing's for sure, Italy needs to find a way to turn things around, and fast. Otherwise, it might lose its very essence. Let's start with the obvious. By 2050, Italy's population is expected to shrink by almost 20%. That's like watching a bustling city turn into a ghost town. But it's not just the numbers that are alarming, it's the age distribution. Italy is aging and fast. The median age is already over 45, and it's only going up. Imagine a country where the majority of the population is closer to retirement than to their first job. It's like a classroom full of teachers and no students. The very same scenario we're seeing in the case of Japan. Who will run the country? But this isn't just about fewer people walking the streets. It's about fewer people contributing to the economy. Think about it. Fewer consumers mean less demand for goods and services. Businesses will find their shelves stocked, but no one to buy their products. And it doesn't stop there. With fewer young people entering the workforce, companies will face a labor shortage. Imagine a restaurant where the chef, waiter, and dishwasher are all the same person because there simply aren't enough people to fill these roles. Efficiency takes a nosedive. To attract the scant available workforce, businesses will have to raise wages. But here's the kicker. Those increased labor costs will inevitably be passed on to you, the consumer. Your favorite plate of spaghetti carbonara, it could soon cost you as much as a fine dining experience. Consumer prices are already on the rise, largely due to surging energy prices. Financial conditions have tightened considerably, and yields on Italian government bonds have increased. This is a sign of the market's declining confidence in Italy's economic stability. The labor shortage is exacerbating this issue, putting additional pressure on an already fragile economy. It's a vicious cycle that threatens to derail Italy's post-pandemic recovery. Now, why should you care about these numbers? Because they're not just digits on a page, they're a ticking time bomb. By 2030, Italy is expected to have 2 million workers entering retirement with no new workforce to foot the bill for their pensions. The government's projections show that the peak in pension spending will be reached in 2044. And let's just say it's going to be a mountain too high to climb. Add to this the healthcare system the government has to oversee, and the financial burden becomes virtually unbearable. So what's the way out? Is there a light at the end of this long, dark tunnel? The government has tried to throw money at the problem, introducing monthly payments of up to 175 euros per child and pumping $25.4 million into the economy to boost childcare. But let's not kid ourselves. That's like trying to put out a forest fire with a water gun. Other countries like Germany and France are doing far more, yet their birth rates are only marginally better. Some experts even suggest that increasing female labor participation could be a game changer. Currently, Italy has the lowest female labor participation rate in Europe, standing at around 57%. Studies have shown that financial security encourages family planning. So if more women enter the workforce, it could in turn boost the birth rate. The clock is ticking, and Italy is at a crossroads. The next steps the country takes could either pull it back from the brink or push it over the edge into an economic abyss. If you've enjoyed this roller coaster ride, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also, what do you think? If financial incentives aren't enough to encourage young couples to have children, what other creative solutions could be implemented? Could the answer lie in a shift in cultural attitudes, or perhaps in more radical policy changes? Your thoughts and opinions matter, so don't forget to share their reflections in the comments below.